Chapter 2097. Celestial Star Zone, Northern and Southern Battlefields. Xue Jianming led his men to take a detour and ambush the group that was fighting with Shangguan Yun's group in front of them. Brother Xue, there are too many enemies. I'm afraid we can't get through. Two young men who were fighting a bloody battle sent a voice transmission, their eyes filled with unyielding fighting spirit. Even if I can't, I still have to wear it. Xue Jianming's brows were sharp. If we can't get through and complete the encirclement, the third team will be wiped out. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 3 heaven-covering divine palms pressed down. Xue Jianming slashed with his sword, breaking the 3 divine palms and breaking through the enemy's defense line once again. Everyone, if we can't get through, we can only prepare for the worst. Xue Jianming's eyes were filled with determination. We have to cover at least 300 people. As for the rest, we'll use our lives to open a path for them. I don't have much divine power left. I'll attract their attention later. You guys retreat. I'll self-destruct my divine body, nomological laws, and divine soul. You guys take the opportunity to cover more people. Brother Xue. No, Captain, you can't die. I'll go. Everyone hurriedly sent voice transmissions. Xue Jianming smiled casually as he waved his sword. There's no hierarchy in the team. If I fall, you guys will take my place. The blazing sword light suddenly surged. Intense divine soul fluctuations emerged from Xue Jianming's glabella, and the celestial star zone true gods surrounding him changed their expressions. This lunatic wants to self-destruct. Back off, don't let him succeed. Boom! At the critical moment, a divine spear pierced through the clouds. It was bathed in vast purple lightning and suddenly descended. It brought along rolling thunder and smashed more than a dozen true gods. Xue Jianming was stunned. Brother, don't be in such a hurry to self-destruct. A burst of laughter reverberated in the void. A large group of people descended. Their auras were majestic, and their nomological laws soared into the sky. A handsome young man in a blue robe held a divine spear. He had 2 lively fox ears on his head, and his smile was filled with friendliness and enthusiasm. Xue Jianming instinctively said, You guys are... The youth opened his arms and gave Xue Jianming a bear hug. He laughed heartily and said, We're on the same side. Brother, we know of your actions in the God-Fiend Wind region. I, Huai Clan's Liang, respect you from the bottom of my heart. Count us in for this battle. Xue Jianming exclaimed. You are from the Huai Clan? A lightning-like thought flashed through Xue Jianming's mind. Lin Shan had once said that there might be external help in this battle. If there was no external help, perhaps this would be the last battle for this team. So that's how it is. The foreign aid that Big Brother Lin Shan was talking about was the Huai Clan. They still had to fight this battle. At this moment, almost at the same time, a large number of true gods appeared in various battle circles in the outer perimeter of the Heavenly Star sector. Heavenly Star Field, Southeast Battlefield. The Huai Clan's Elder June, whose saber was like a dragon's tooth, swept through 100 true gods with a single saber strike, stepped into the air. She was valiant and cold as she opened up the encirclement for Shangguan Yun and the others. With an indifferent expression, Elder June asked, What about that brat? I don't want to owe him a favor. Shangguan Yun looked at her and smiled knowingly. He's inside the Star Pagoda. The beautiful woman's eyes flickered as she looked at the Star Pagoda in the Heavenly Star Field and mumbled to herself, Inside? He actually fought his way inside. Doesn't he know what it means to be inside the Heavenly Star Field? That's where the most detestable prodigy of the God Clan is guarding. No, perhaps he knows, and that's why he purposely chose the Star Pagoda. No wonder there's not a single God King outside. The beautiful woman shook her head and laughed. What an unpredictable man. Good, I'll take this opportunity. I've long wanted to overturn the heavens of the Heavenly Star Field. Elder June waved her hand, and a large number of Huai Clan warriors appeared. The soldiers of the Heavenly Star Field paled. The Huai Clan had actually left their territory. A perfected ninth heaven divine warrior flew over and shouted coldly, Jun Lanxin, the higher-ups have warned you many times. Why did you leave your territory and invade the heavenly star field? Elder Jun's expression was cold. I just can't stand dogs like you. The divine warrior's mouth twitched, and he said in a low voice, What did these people offer you? Name a price. As long as you leave with your people, we'll pay you double. You don't have the right to give us this reward. What? They gave us their trust. Elder June pointed her saber at the star pagoda and smiled beautifully. Is your deity realm able to afford such a reward? The god kings in the starry sea of extermination were completely dumbfounded. What is this divine artifact of his? This old man is at the third level of the divine king realm. Even with the origin laws of the divine king realm, I can barely predict his movements. No, it's not that simple. It's not just his movement speed that's fast. It's also the speed at which he refines the starry sea of extermination. We're surrounded by even more starry sea of extermination. We can't even protect ourselves now, let alone save the young master. The god kings in the starry sea of extermination were completely flustered. The extreme wind god set increased the speed of all attributes, including the efficiency of the cultivation technique. The starry sea of extermination that Lin Shun had refined was just the tip of the iceberg. The entire starry sea of extermination had become the eastern line of defense of the Heaven Star domain. What if he refined all the starry sea of extermination here? The origin source law would definitely become one of Lin Shen's main sources of power. Qi, a strand of divine wind wrapped around the starry sea of extermination, and the starry sea of extermination was so fast that Chun Junlin could not react in time. When the starry sea of extermination hit the divine mirror's protective shield, Chun Junlin was pushed back by the arrow, and dazzling starry sea of extermination exploded around him. Damn it! How can this kid be so fast? As Chun Junlin cursed, he felt an intense tearing in the depths of his divine soul. He immediately exclaimed in shock, This arrow actually burned my divine soul? With his divine soul injured, Chun Junlin's senses were limited, but Lin Chen's arrows were like a storm. I want to see how hard this tortoise shell can be under absolute hit. If I can't shoot through it, I'm not Lin Chen. Some of his arrows were blue, some were yellow, and they were surrounded by the origin source laws of thunder, fire, wind, and star. They shot toward his opponent in the blink of an eye. These were the two moves of the Yellow Springs Tai Bao, the Soul Shatter and the Yellow Springs move. One arrow to break the divine soul, one arrow to break the divine body. The strength of this Crimson Rank Bao was that it had a way to deal with different enemies. When it was released with the extreme wind god's extreme speed, its power increased exponentially. A golden dragon eye flashed between Chun Junlin's eyebrows. As if it had automatically sensed danger, it actually dodged Lin Chen's two starry sea of extermination. Chun Junlin roared, Lin Chun, you want to play with your life, right? This young master will play with you to the end. Karma Heavenly Fate Eye. It was made from the Heavenly Fate Ancient Dragon's Eye, and it was one of the god race's great abilities. He exposed another life-saving trump card, but facing Lin Chun, Chun Junlin had no choice but to use it. The extermination star sea was like a receding tide, ushering in a rare decrease for the first time in history. Lin Chen's Tai space was full of divine power, and it was about to break through to a new realm. Host is about to reach the 6th tier of the divine realm. Host is about to meet the prerequisites for the activation of the Heavenly Dao Species Collecting System version 10.0. Chapter 2098. Dead Silence. He drew the bow and shot out a divine light. The divine stars twinkled like a dragon dancing in the sky, emitting a heavenly might that could shatter the laws. The divine kings in the extinct star sea were shocked. Lin Chen's archery skill seemed to be specialized in restraining the laws. Soul-shattering, Yellow Springs, Dead Silence. Soul-shattering. The azure arrow light was accompanied by ghostly shadows. Body breaking, a huge white whale swooping out of the sea of stars. Rule breaking, a dragon dancing in the sky. 3 perfectly stacked, instant light, splitting shadows. Whoosh. The 3 arrows were so fast that Chun Junlin couldn't see them clearly. He could only use his karma heavenly fate eye to predict the trajectory of the arrows. The flaming clouds under the lion's claws drifted away. The divine lion carried Chun Junlin and dodged together. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, the strange thing was that the 3-star arrows turned from the dimensional vacuum and shot back at Chun Junlin, forcing him to retaliate with his spear. Where did this brat get so many tricks from? I can't even dodge them? Chun Junlin was furious. His divine blood burned, and a huge shadow appeared above his head. He waved the azure divine spear and swept away the extinct starlight, taking the initiative to attack Lin Chun. Bang, bang, bang. The arrow light exploded, and Chun Junlin and the divine lion retreated. After being strengthened and buffed by the extreme wind god set, as well as split light, Lin Chen's Yellow Springs Tai Bao was able to unleash a power that surpassed that of a normal red-grade martial art. To Chun Junlin, powerful attacks weren't scary. Attacks that were so fast that he couldn't react or dodge were nightmares. Not to mention that he was still in the extinct star sea. The divine wind beneath Lin Chen's feet intensified. The wind god's wings flickered. Lin Chun continued to fire arrows as his god force surged endlessly. If 10 arrows aren't enough, I'll shoot 100 arrows. If 100 arrows aren't enough, I'll shoot 10,000 arrows. Lin Chen's eyes were full of determination. The speed of all his attributes increased by 9,000 times, and he was as fast as a beam of divine light. Every time he moved, he would shoot out a rain of arrows, making it impossible for the opponent to defend against. He was not afraid of exhausting his divine power in this battle at all. The extermination star C was his source of energy. The Dragon King was like a mysterious ancient dragon that shuttled through the void. Every time he moved his dragon body and swung his dragon claws, he broke through the primordial divine lion's defenses again and again. Host has obtained 80 billion divine level vitality points, 45 billion divine level vitality points, 90 million divine level heavenly Tao points, 85 million divine level fire energy points. Every time the Dragon King attacked the primordial celestial lion, he would devour its vitality, and the vitality attributes that were lost would all belong to Lin Chun. The divine lion's flesh and blood were refined by the Dragon King, while the chi and blood belonged to Lin Chun. One man and one dragon, after this battle, obtained astonishing transformations. Seeing that Lin Chen's divine power was being replenished rapidly, Chun Junlin finally judged the final situation. It was time for him to gamble his life. At this moment, Chun Junlin had no choice but to agree. This 3-dimensional human, Lin Chun, was actually an existence that stood on the same level as the 10 heavens of the celestial race. Other than those 10, no one of the celestial race's monsters of the same generation could be more outstanding than him. In time, if he approached the level of those 10, Lin Chun would definitely be one of the top 10 in the celestial world. Rumble. The primordial divine lion roared into the sky. 10 pillars of divine flame erupted, supporting the extinction starlight and burning away the violent energy in the starlight. The divine lion also realized that it was time to gamble his life. If they did not kill Lin Chun and the primordial cosmic dragon, they would definitely not be able to escape the extinction star sea. Other than the battle when I became a celestial, this is the second time I have to gamble my life in a battle. I didn't expect such a monster to be born outside the celestial race. Chun Junlin's eyes were deep. The supreme grade divine spear in his hand, cosmic dragon, throbbed with blood-red lightning. The thunder law of the celestial realm was even close to the peak of the celestial realm. Lin Chen's expression was solemn. This guy was still holding back. Suddenly, the primordial divine lion roared. He's so fast. What if we can't hit him? Chun Junlin smiled evilly. That's impossible. You should know who my great-grandfather is. With a large enough area of attack, he has no chance of dodging. Rumble. Blood-colored divine, lightning soared into the sky, like countless dragons converging together. When the bright flashes of lightning converged on the spear, Lin Chen's hair instantly stood on end. What is that? A deathly silence and a sense of suffocation choked Lin Chen. The soul fire hidden behind Lin Chen flickered faintly, about to burst out. Lin Chen, I'll show you the peak of the celestial race. Holding the spear with one hand, a supreme divine shadow rose above Chun Junlin's head. The divine shadow opened the four-dimensional universe as if it was close to the origin of the progenitor realm. It was formed from Chun Junlin's bloodline, and it gave him a great boost. Divine tribulation. The next moment, Chun Junlin swung the spear. The moment the spear tip cut through the void, a large area of blood-red lightning flashed in the four-dimensional space. From afar, the blood-red lightning marks covered the sky like thick tree roots. The aura of destruction seeped out and swept toward Lin Chen. The attack range was too large. Even part of the extinct star sea was swept away. Lin Chen had no place to dodge at all. Rumble. In a 10,000th of a breath, Lin Chen didn't use his bow. His palm was filled with the power of God's attraction. Lin Chen struck. This God-summoning barrier had directly depleted 90% of Lin Chen's deity-level heavenly Tao points. Bang! The God's attraction barrier was activated. In less than a tenth of a breath, it was crushed by the blood-red lightning. Retreating quickly, Lin Chen's palms lit up with 9-colored starlight. 2 9-tribulation stars were thrown out, and Lin Chen's divine power dropped sharply. 2 9-tribulation stars. This was almost all that Lin Chen could gather with his current divine power and laws. 10 streaks of 9-colored starlight fell at a speed thousands of times faster. Before they exploded, they were destroyed by the blood-red lightning. Ultimate Wind God armor set removed. Host used 4 pieces of Atlas set. For pieces charged, 100%. Special feature, absolute defense. Lightning flashed, and the indestructible pitch-black divine light on Lin Chen's body disappeared instantly. Atlas set charged, remaining 0%. A wisp of azure dragon light flashed past. Time seemed to stop in the small space around Lin Chen. Just as the blood-red lightning was about to break through the Atlas set's defense, he disappeared like a flickering star. Rumble. Bang. 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 The next moment, the blood-red lightning exploded, causing a second impact. The explosion caused the energy in the extinct star sea to leak everywhere. 1/3 of the extinct star sea was thrown into the sky, and the star's sand trembled. He's dead? Chun Junlin's expression changed slightly. No. Rumble. When the Azure Taijo divine light appeared out of nowhere, a golden figure rushed out and tore apart the primordial divine lion's flames. The primordial divine lion was about to protect its master when the Dragon King pounced out of the void and entangled the divine lion's divine body. He actually dodged it. While Chun Junlin was shocked, he swung his spear to block, and Lin Chen raised his battle god spear to the sky. Clang! Terrifying divine power exploded, and the 2 divine spears flew out at the same time. Lin Chen didn't use his spear. Divine light flashed, and pure energy gathered crazily as he punched Chun Junlin's protective divine mirror. Crack! The divine mirror shattered, and the heavenly lord divine mirror that had been protecting him finally cracked. Die for this, daddy. Another punch was thrown out, and Lin Chen's eyes were filled with a desperate killing intent. Chapter 2099. After hitting Chun Junlin, Lin Chen did not stop at all. Instead, he continued to punch him like a madman. His shining golden fists were surrounded by all the laws he had mastered. Together with the Golden War God set's extreme strength, every punch landed on Chun Junlin's body. Bang! 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 No! Chun Junlin screamed. Just as he was about to abandon his divine body and escape, Lin Chen's palm landed on his head. A destructive force that could devour billions of lives crazily absorbed all of Chun Junlin's cultivation, bloodline, and divine soul. What? Chen Junlin was shocked. He has the devouring law. Host used remaining divine heavenly Tao points to activate divine spark fragment annihilation, extracting target's blood essence, divine soul, cultivation, laws, and divine power. Obtained large amounts of divine blood essence. Obtained large amounts of divine spirit. Obtained large amounts of lightning, wind, and darkness attributes. Everything in Chun Junlin's body was flowing away. His cultivation, realm, divine soul, and consciousness seemed to be swallowed into a destructive alternate dimension and was about to be destroyed. No, how can this be? Grandfather, save me. Chen Junlin screamed crazily. Finally, he turned into nothing, turning into a sea of attribute light balls and dozens of attribute treasure chests. Divine world, divine realm. Junlin's bloodline has disappeared. Sitting at the head of the hall was a black-robed man. His face was sharp, cold, and ruthless. His deep eyes seemed to hide some kind of giant beast, making one's heart tremble. Hee, looks like someone wants to kill my Chin family. Send my secret order. Send a spy to the Divine Wilderness Star region to investigate. In the secret realm where the divine tree was hidden, one of the three consciousnesses in the vast sky suddenly awakened. My Chun family's bloodline is showing signs of dying. That Supreme will seem to have seen through the four-dimensional universe as its gaze fell upon the vast and boundless Divine Wilderness Star region. The Divine Wilderness Star region? The killer seems to be someone who also cultivates the Tai Sky technique. Could it be those good-for-nothings? No, they don't have the guts or ability. Could it be that kid? The Supreme Consciousness did not care too much. After a moment, it slowly closed its eyes. Forget it. He's just a junior. If he dies, he dies. If he becomes a primogenitor, he won't have to worry about not having descendants. In the extermination star sea of the heavenly star domain, the 20 divine kings looked as if they had seen a ghost. Their teeth were chattering. It's over. The young master is gone. Lin Shun, who was standing in the air, was covered in blood and gasping for breath. He didn't even have the strength to help the War Dragon King. His god-tier heavenly path points had been depleted to 0. Even the immortal godhead could not heal him. Lin Shen's eyes were still filled with disbelief and shock. It was too shocking. The divine race's geniuses were actually powerful to such an extent. Compared to ordinary divine kings, they were two completely different life forms. I almost made the wrong bet. I didn't expect the geniuses of the god race to be this strong. Although he had won, Lin Shen's eyes flashed with a rare trace of fear. If Lin Shen had chosen to use the Extreme Wind God set or the Golden Battle God set, he would have died for sure. Lin Shen's God Summoning Barrier and Double 9 Tribulations stars couldn't even last a second against Chun Junlin's final spear strike. His sky-raising God set's 4-piece Heavenly Path Divine Armor had been instantly charged. And this was under the premise that a portion of its power was limited by the large amount of starlight from the extermination star sea. If not for the previous moves delaying the time slightly, allowing the Dragon King to avoid that spear strike with the War Dragon King's cosmic flash, the one dead would be Lin Shun. Similarly, if Lin Shun hadn't lured Chen Junlin into the extermination star sea and instead fought him in the heavenly star domain, Lin Shun would have almost no chance of winning. If crossing the realm sea 3 times was the team's greatest danger, then attacking heavenly star domain's Chen Junlin was Lin Shen's greatest personal danger. Enjoying the top resources of the human civilization, cultivating the best cultivation methods, and possessing the strongest background, these are the geniuses cultivated by the God Clan. A tall mountain seemed to appear in Lin Shen's heart. There was another group of geniuses like this in the 3 divine races. Perhaps not many, but not few either. Above him, there were still the 10 great geniuses of the divine world. In just a moment, Lin Chun shattered all the negative emotions. Even a number one in the heavenly realm couldn't stop Lin Shun from advancing. The geniuses of the three divine races couldn't stop him either. Circulating his mental cultivation technique, a large amount of attribute light balls entered Lin Chen's body. Obtained 36 divine strengthening points, 32 billion divine rune energy, 32 million divine heaven's path points, 780 billion divine essence, 725 billion divine chi, 98. 5 million dark energy. After his divine heaven's path points were replenished, he immediately activated the immortal Godhead to heal himself. At that moment, the attribute treasure chests that fell in front of Lin Shun were the most he had ever seen. Some were filled with crimson light, some were dazzling with 5 lights, some were unprecedentedly burning with 5 flames, some were beautiful and magnificent, and some were ordinary but seemed to hide a hidden world. The dazzling array almost blinded Lin Chen's eyes. Open Talent Attribute Treasure Chest. Host obtained Crimson Talent Fragment, 3/20. Open Talent Attribute Treasure Chest. Host obtained Crimson Talent Fragment, 4/20. Open Talent Attribute Treasure Chest. Host obtained Crimson Talent Fragment, 5/20. Open Talent Attribute Treasure Chest. Host obtained Crimson Talent Fragment, 6/20. Open Divine Soul Treasure Chest. Host obtained 1 trillion Divine Spiritual Energy. Open Talent Attribute Treasure Chest. Host obtained 150 billion Divine Talent Points. Opened Heavenly Tao Treasure Chest. Host obtained 100 billion Divine Heaven's Path Points. Opened Divinity Treasure Chest. Host obtained Divinity Fragment, Annihilation 2/3. Open Set Attribute Treasure Chest. Host obtained Atlas God Equipment, Left Greaves. Opened Attribute Law Treasure Chest. Host obtained Lightning Seed. Opened Attribute Law Treasure Chest. Host obtained Darkness Seed. Received Supreme Law Treasure Chest. Note: this treasure chest will randomly open attribute treasures related to the 10 Great Laws. Open God Race Exclusive Treasure Chest. Host obtained Mid-Crimson Cultivation Technique, Divine Tribulation. This was an unprecedented harvest. Vast and majestic attributes were refined into Lin Chen's body. The injuries and exhaustion in his body began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. Divine Dragon Return. With a thought, Lin Shun recalled the Dragon King, who was covered in wounds. He looked down at the panicking Divine Lion beneath his feet and activated Star Ocean Azure once again. Boom! Large amounts of destructive starlight shot over. Some were refined by Lin Shun, while some passed through the primordial Divine Lion. It could only rely on its injured body to withstand all the destructive starlight. The primordial Divine Lion's flesh was torn open by the starlight, and its vitality dropped. It howled in pain. "Human, I'm willing to submit to you. Please have mercy." Lin Shun said calmly, "I haven't seen a divine beast core equivalent to a 4th Heaven God King. It's time to broaden my horizons today." Chapter 2100. Broaden my horizons? Damn it, is this human language? The primordial Divine Lion said in shock. "No, I still have many hidden spatial coordinates. I'll give them all to you. I guarantee you can become a godly monarch. I'm still willing to be your servant. Let me go." Although the primordial Divine Lion was powerful, it had already given up its pride as a divine lion. If it were those dragon kings in the realm sea, they would rather die than submit. Lin Shun ignored its pleas and continued to refine the star sea of extinction. The godly monarchs outside were the same. When Lin Shun started to refine the star sea of extinction again, they had no way out. They could only resist like sheep in a pen, unable to escape. Buzz, his god soul, which was as deep as the sea, exploded from Lin Chen's glabella. The power of his god soul was like a full pond, rushing to a new level. Host has reached the greater success stage of the divine soul realm. Then, as if it was the precursor of a violent storm, Lin Chen's cultivation realm began to break through like a hot knife through butter, continuously charging towards a new peak. Congratulations, host, for reaching the early stage of Stage 6 of the Divine Realm. Host has reached the prerequisite of activating the Heavenly Tao Member Collecting System version 10.0. Please open the system and check. Rumble. Thunder rumbled, and the dragon's roar resounded throughout the heavenly star field. An increasingly terrifying aura was brewing in the heavenly star field, causing countless experts to feel extraordinary pressure. It was not over yet. The aura of Lin Chen's breakthrough this time was far stronger than when he had just arrived at the Divine Wilderness star field. The wind howled, and golden rain fell. Almost at the same time, the heavenly star field welcomed two waves of breakthroughs. The golden rain that nourished the earth fell on the heavenly star field, shocking countless experts. It was the phenomenon of a godly monarch. The phenomenon of a godly monarch? Damn it, what's going on with this team? Their leader is already so terrifying after breaking through to Stage 6 of the Divine Realm. But there are still people breaking through to the godly monarch realm in battle. It's the internal battle situation. Someone among them has become a godly monarch. The morale of the heavenly star field plummeted again. On the other hand, the morale of the Huai clan and the 5 teams soared. It was Shunling Shuang and Yi Qinwu. The latter had used Yi Hongming's divine pill to step into the God King stage, while Shunling Shuang had comprehended a new set of laws during this battle, using it to break through to the God King stage. Not only had his innate potential been stimulated to the extreme, it had also been brought to a new peak. However, the extermination star C once again exploded with an earth-shaking divine power fluctuation. Congratulations to the host for advancing to the middle stage of the 6th tier of the Divine Realm. Waves after waves of divine power washed over Lin Chen's body, and he finally reached the peak of the middle stage of the 6th tier of the Divine Realm. Only then did the realm of divine power slowly come to a stop. However, everything else was still going on at a terrifying speed. Above Lin Chen's head was a starlight vortex. Beneath his feet was boundless golden light. He was like a god descending to the mortal world. His aura was rising steadily. Following that, 2 types of laws appeared on the left and right sides of his body, and they slowly rotated like the eyes of an acupoint. 1 lightning, 1 star. The host has refined the seed of law of thunder and comprehended the divine realm's law of thunder. The host has refined 1/4 of the extermination star C. You have comprehended the laws of stars of the divine realm. Thundering star tremor. An intense energy fluctuation was transmitted out. It was as if the heavenly star domain had welcomed a new master. The speed at which Lin Shun absorbed the extermination starlight increased by more than 10 times. Lin Shun had completely stepped into a whole new realm. The pupils of the 20 god kings constricted, and they were instantly dumbfounded. What the F***CK? Is he still human? He actually comprehended 2 types of divine realm laws in such a short time. This is freaking called the 6th tier of the divine realm. Even the most top-notch god kings can't do that. He's only at the 6th tier of the divine realm, but the divine realm laws he comprehended are actually slightly stronger than ours. The 20 god kings were shocked. Even those as strong as they had served the god race for many years had never seen such a scene. The few god kings exchanged glances. They seemed to have made up their minds. Their divine bodies suddenly erupted with divine light, and they charged toward the extermination starlight in the periphery without a care for anything else. Rumble. Bang. 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 One after another, god kings self-destructed, shaking half of the heavenly star domain. The extermination starlight that filled the sky was blasted apart, like beautiful fireworks surging under the nebula. Lin Shun was surprised. This group of god kings actually self-destructed. No, to be precise, it should be that nearly half of them self-destructed. The remaining half led the divine souls that chose to self-destruct and charged toward the periphery. Although the surviving god kings were severely injured, they still charged out in the end. sacrificing their divine bodies to create an opportunity with self-destruction, as expected of a bunch of old foxes. Ruthless enough. Before Lin Shun could make a move, they had already retreated. Although Lin Shun could choose to use the extreme wind god set to pursue this group of god kings, he still had a more important target right now, and that was the primordial divine lion under his feet. This primordial divine lion was an existence equivalent to a fourth heaven god king. If not for pulling it into the extermination star sea, the price to kill it would probably be second only to facing Chun Junlin. If he could kill it, the blood essence he obtained would be able to make up for Lin Shen's weakness in body tempering. It would be more beneficial to the divine dragon's growth. The primordial divine lion was surrounded by the extermination starlight. Large patches of extermination starlight were like blades slicing through its flesh. It was in a different position from the 20 god kings. It was in the center, especially when the Dragon King was still holding it. Every time it wanted to self-destruct, it would use the Grand Universe Domain Claw to interrupt its blood essence. It could not self-destruct, even if it wanted to. Wong. A wisp of dark mist like nomological laws rose from Lin Shen's palm. A ball of darkness god power was added to the Tai space. Host has refined the seed of darkness laws. Host has comprehended the laws of darkness. He had comprehended a new law again. Fire, thunder, star, wind, and darkness. These were the 5 laws that Lin Shun had comprehended at the moment. Lin Shun immediately activated the illusion runes. Consumed 140 billion runes of energy. Illusion doppelganger synchronized with Host's current cultivation realm. In order to suppress the primordial divine lion, although Lin Shun could not leave the extermination star sea to assist the team outside, he could at least let the illusion doppelganger synchronize with the Host's cultivation realm. The current Lin Shen's battle prowess was several levels higher than before. In a one-on-one battle, the illusion doppelganger was not weaker than a second heaven god king. It could also prevent the escaping god king from coming back. With a thought, Lin Shen opened the system. Heavenly Way Attribute Picking System version 9.0. Host, Lin Shen. Cultivation, Mid-Stage 6 Divine Realm. Divine Essence, 954 trillion. Limit, 30. 45 million Desolate Power. Flesh Shell Awakening plus 700%. Divine Chi, 150 trillion. Divine Spiritual Power, 8,420 billion. Divine Soul, Great Success Stage. Divine Cultivation Technique Soul Essence, 5,540 billion. Divine Runes of Energy, 3,950 billion. Divine Heaven's Path Points, 189. 8 billion. Divine Talent Points, 209. 9 billion. Peak Set Essence, 312 points. God Level Strengthening Points, 1,541. Divine Attributes. Set Column, Ultimate Golden War God Set, Recharge, 60%. Ultimate Wind God Set, Recharge, 31%. Skyscraper Set, 100%. Talent Column, Usable in 4 dimensions Extreme God Possession, Split Shadow, God Slayer, Cooldown, God Defiant, Cooldown, Ultimate Heaven Defying, Cooldown, Crimson Fragment, 6/20. Special Attribute Treasure, Supreme Law Treasure Chest, Mid-Crimson Cultivation Technique, Divine Tribulation, Divine Attribute Column, Divine Elephant Divinity, Undying Divinity, God's Guide Divinity, Azura's Nemesis Divinity Fragment, 5/6, Annihilation Divinity Fragment, 2/3. Activation of Heavenly Way Attribute Picking System version 10. 0 condition. Kill more than 10 God Lord level beings. Divine Heaven's Path Points. 1 trillion. Divine Cultivation Technique Soul Essence. 10 trillion. Heavenly Way Attribute Picking System version 10. 0 function. Activating the Law Attribute function. Host can obtain the corresponding attribute and control the law faster. Activating the Divine Body function. Host can forge the Supreme Divine Body and refine the body faster, breaking through the limits of life. After a rough look, Lin Chen's gaze landed on the Supreme Law Treasure Chest. This attribute treasure chest would randomly produce the top 10 law treasures among the 3,000 law treasures. Chapter 2101 Supreme Law Treasure Chest. This item could be said to be the best attribute treasure chest obtained after killing Chun Junlin. Although the other Godhead fragments were precious, they were not as attractive as this one. Comprehending just one of the top 10 Great Tao laws was enough to suppress countless geniuses of the same generation. For example, the number one fortune teller of the divine world used the law of karma and could even revive Lin Xingchen. Each of the top 10 laws was especially heaven-defying. I wonder what kind of surprise this treasure chest will bring me. After opening the attribute treasure chest, a fist-sized crystal fragment appeared in Lin Chen's mind. It was colorful and magnificent, like a beautiful galaxy jade with 5 types of energy hidden within. Host has opened the Supreme Law Treasure Chest. Obtained 3,000 Great Tao, 5 Elemental Law Seed Fragment, 1/2. Lin Chun was stunned. 5 Elemental Law, 3,000 Great Tao, 5 Elemental Law. It is the origin of all things and one of the sources of creation. Those who comprehend the 5 Elemental Law can reverse the 5 elements and possess the power of creation. The metal element is indestructible and extremely sharp. The wood element is full of life and gives life to all things. The water element has a long history and is the source of power. The fire element is eternal and can refine billions of flames. The earth element can guide the galaxy and assimilate all earth-type divine power. If the host refines the complete 5 Elemental Law seed, he can control the 5 Elemental Law. If the host comprehends one of the 5 Elemental Law, he can control the 5 Elemental Law and assimilate the highest attainment of the 5 Elemental Law. Lin Chen couldn't help but gasp. Assimilate the 5 Elemental Law. This meant that if Lin Chun refined the 5 Elemental Law seed, not only would he be able to control the top 10 Great Tao laws, but he would also be able to assimilate the highest attainment of the 5 Elemental Law. It was equivalent to possessing the fire element law of the divine realm. After refining the 5 Elemental Law seed, not only would Lin Chun obtain the other 4 laws, but these 4 laws would also borrow the 5 Elemental Law to reach the same realm as the fire element law. It was equivalent to gaining 4 divine realm laws out of thin air. If one of Lin Chen's laws stepped into the heavenly hellish realm, it would be equivalent to 5 of the 5 elemental laws stepping into the heavenly hellish realm. As expected of one of the top 10 laws, as expected, none of them can be compared to ordinary laws. If I can obtain another fragment, my battle prowess will rise by another 3 levels. Lin Chen gasped in amazement. Moreover, the 5 elemental laws were not only superior in terms of the number of laws and the synchronization of the laws. 5 laws, 5 elements combined into one. The effect obtained far surpassed the amplification of 5 laws combined. Roar! The primordial lion god let out a mournful roar. Human Lin Chun, this king will fight you to the death. This king's clansmen will never let you go. The refining speed of the starlight gradually increased. Lin Chen's expression was cold and indifferent. When you choose the god race, you must be mentally prepared. The majestic chi and blood that burned like bloody flames seemed to want to burn the void, but the Dragon King bit and devoured its flesh again and again. Host has obtained 950 billion divine-level blood points, 390 billion divine-level blood points, 850 billion divine-level blood points. Lin Chen's divine body's pure strength sword. Furthermore, the Dragon King's divine dragon meridians were growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. A divine lion comparable to a 4-heaven god king. Unless it was besieged by a group of peak god kings, it was too difficult to kill it. Its flesh and blood were devoured by the Dragon King, and the divine-level chi and blood attributes it dropped were rapidly absorbed by Lin Chun. Crimson divine flames burned intensely from Lin Chen's divine body. The incomparably violent divine power was like an unstoppable true dragon, rampaging all the way. This time, Lin Shen's pure strength welcomed an unprecedented surge. From hundreds of thousands of desolate power to millions, tens of millions, until it broke through 100 million. It was not over yet. System, I want to awaken the highest stage of the flesh shell, consuming 1 billion divine-level heavenly Tao points. Beginning awakening the 8th stage of the flesh shell, consuming 10 billion divine-level heavenly Tao points. Beginning awakening the 9th stage of the flesh shell, consuming 100 billion divine-level heavenly Tao points. Beginning awakening the final stage of the flesh shell. Rumble. Lin Shen's chi and blood were strong enough to incinerate mountains and rivers. It had broken through 100 million desolate power. How is this possible? The primordial celestial lion let out a cry of disbelief before it died. Its huge eyes stared fixedly at Lin Shen. It could not believe that a human could reach such a level of chi and blood at such a frightening speed. Chi. The ancient primordial dragon's claws dug into the last inch of the primordial celestial lion's flesh. Its resplendent dragon teeth crushed its divine bones and swallowed everything. Finally, a humongous amber divine beast core floated in the air. There were also 4 attribute treasure chests. Host has opened the Supreme Talent Treasure Chest. Obtained Crimson Fragment, 7/20. Host has opened the Supreme Talent Treasure Chest. Obtained Crimson Fragment, 8/20. Host has opened the Divine Level Chi and Blood Treasure Chest. Obtained 1,000 trillion Divine Level Chi and Blood Essence. Host has opened the Heavenly Tao Treasure Chest. Obtained 30 billion Divine Level Heavenly Tao points. The Dragon King opened his mouth and swallowed the Amber Divine Beast Core. Even though he was covered in wounds, his dragon body became even more radiant. Almost at the same moment the primordial celestial lion died, the man and dragon stopped whatever they were doing. They turned into 2 beams of divine light and rushed out of the extinct star sea. 1 man and 1 dragon rushed into the celestial star domain's inner line at the fastest speed possible. Bang! 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 The Dragon King and Lin Chun attacked separately. With the ultimate wind god armor, they broke through the celestial star domain's inner line at the fastest speed possible. Lin Chun shouted, "Quickly, cover the injured and retreat." A green light appeared in his palm, and the ultimate wind god bow appeared. Many true gods were shocked. Chi. When a sonic boom swept through the starry sky, all the true gods heard it. Their divine bodies were penetrated, and their divine bones were shattered. It's Big Brother Lin Chun. We'll leave this to Big Brother Lin. Let's retreat first. Everyone was overjoyed. They rushed out of the inner line and cooperated with those outside to evacuate the injured. Like a meteor shower that bloomed under the starry sky, a rain of arrows swept through the void with unparalleled speed. It was like a flickering divine light, mixed with the sharp star laws, piercing through thousands of true gods. These star arrows can't be avoided. Will young master keep fighting with such people? It's over. The true gods who disappeared under the arrow light kept wailing. They couldn't escape even if they wanted to. Lin Chen's fingertips left behind afterimages. His fighting spirit was even more violent than before. It was as if he wanted to wipe out all the enemies in the shortest time possible. Even if 1 less of his comrades died, he wanted to use the fastest speed to wipe out the enemies. In about 15 minutes, the entire vast celestial star domain was riddled with holes. Divine remains were everywhere. The people of the Huai clan looked at this scene in a daze. They looked at Lin Chun, who was standing beside the star pagoda, and a sense of reverence arose. If he had used this method in the Huai clan, they wouldn't have been able to trap him even in the God-fiend wind region. At least 50,000 true gods had died at his hands. It was almost a bloodbath in the celestial star domain. He alone had carried half the battle record of a team. Looking at this star domain, the God clan's defense line, which was once said that even divine masters couldn't break through, had been broken through by a team. When the divine wind dissipated and the ultimate wind god retreated, Lin Shun supported himself with one hand. His divine soul and divine power seemed to have been exhausted. His pale face was filled with exhaustion. Lin Shun, Zhao Amren flew over and helped Lin Shun up. Lin Shun said, "How many people do we have left?" Zhao Amren immediately said, "Each team has more than 2,000 people left. In total, we have 12,000 people left. If not for the help of the Huai clan, we would have been wiped out even if we won." Lin Shun said in a low voice, "Let everyone rest for 3 days. We need to seize Nine Whirl Mountain as quickly as possible." Zhao Amren's expression changed slightly. 3 days? That's too rushed. Look at how heavily injured you are. Moreover, everyone has paid a great price in this battle. 3 days isn't even enough to recover from your injuries. A divine light flashed in his eyes. Lin Shun looked to the side and said solemnly, "There are only 3 days. There's no time. My bloodline can faintly sense that he has stepped into the God Desolate star domain." Zhao Anren was startled. "Who?" Letting out a heavy breath, Lin Shun said word by word, "Lin Xingchen." Chapter 2102. In the Divine Wilderness Star region, a ray of starlight shone on the Crimson Continent. Divine light opened up the void. Endless starlight paved a golden path that slowly extended down from the sky. Then, a team descended from the sky. With starlight on their bodies, their aura was domineering and powerful. Saber energy cut through the cloud path. Destructive lightning surged like a sea of thunder. 9 blazing suns appeared when the starlight descended, setting off this team. The true gods who were in seclusion on the Crimson Continent opened their eyes in shock. They released their divine power and activated their laws. Across the stars, they looked at the team in disbelief. That team has the aura of the Divine Realm. The Divine Realm's Sword God King, Lien Baijia, Ro King, Yun Tianqing, and Blue Sea Divine Ruler, Eugene. They are all geniuses of the Divine Realm from the previous era, second only to the Divine Realm. Who exactly is it that can lead this team? Hundreds of true gods who are hiding nearby could not help but hold their breaths. A young man in white stood at the center of the majestic god squad as they descended. His white clothes were whiter than snow, and he stood with his hands behind his back. His face was cold and arrogant, and his golden eyes seemed to see through everything. They contained a sharp sword light that pierced the sky. It was as if he could see through even one's divine soul. He carried a sword wrapped in 5-colored clouds on his back. It was as if the sky was enshrouded in rainbow light, and the divine light of the universe was hidden within the sword. Even without unsheathing, its sharpness could shake the world. Once it was unsheathed, it was hard to imagine how sharp and peerless the sword would be. As he stepped on the river of stars, the golden-eyed youth's eyes suddenly flickered. He looked into the distance, and a trace of golden light flashed past his eyes. A trace of battle intent rose in his eyes. His bloodline was throbbing. This person was Lin Xingchen. His entire body glowed with sword energy, as if he was releasing divine sword energy at all times. Above his head, there was a faint shadow of a sword god in the shape of a sword being drawn. A beautiful, blue-haired lady beside him said in surprise, "Brother Lin, why are you so eager to battle? Is there an enemy over there?" Lin Xingchen smiled coldly. An old opponent. The blue-haired beauty could not help but be moved. The group of Divine Realm geniuses beside her also had interesting expressions. What kind of person was Lin Xingchen? He was an existence that could challenge all the geniuses in the Divine Realm. There were even many forces who suspected that he was the #1 genius of the God Realm who had been left behind all those years ago. With his current strength, he was only second to the 10 existences of the God race. Moreover, it was only a matter of time before he stepped into that level of talent. To be able to become his old rival, who exactly was it? The blue-haired beauty couldn't help but ask, other than the god race, who else could be a match for you? Big Brother Lin? Who is this person? Lin Xingchen threw his head back and laughed. A man who can make me happy. Lin Shun, I'll take your life after we leave Emperor Shi's tomb. The next day, in the Heavenly Star area, the people of the Huai clan saw with their own eyes that the vast and indestructible extermination star sea showed signs of disappearing for the first time. It was as if they were witnessing a miracle. Elder June, who was still charming, gazed into the distant sky. When the starlight from billions of years ago once again shone upon the Heavenly Star domain, she was actually a little dazed. She couldn't help but sigh. Things have changed with the passage of time. A new king has ascended the stage of history. Even the divine masters were unable to solve the problem of the extermination star sea, yet he was able to completely cut off its source. That's not right, Elder June, a cold female voice sounded. It was Shang Wanyan. She revealed a rare smile. He's no longer interested in being a king. Here, all living things are equal. After she finished speaking, she threw out 3 jade slips. Elder June reached out and caught them. When she opened the jade slips and read them, she couldn't help but be moved. This is... Shang Wanyin stroked her hair and smiled. This is the elixir recipe collected in the Heavenly Star area. He specially improved some of the recipes for the Huai clan to treat the wounds on the Huai clan's compatriots and the marks left behind by the god race. The Heavenly Star area had a bountiful harvest, from heavenly and earthly treasures to secret realms of medicinal herbs, celestial bodies filled with rare treasures and rare ores, secret manuals of cultivation techniques, divine artifacts, and so on. There was everything. If they only had 3 days to rest, they wouldn't have had enough time to harvest these resources. It was just nice that they could share them equally with the Huai clan. They even decided to give the Heavenly Star area to the Huai clan and make it their second stronghold. However, the storage of divine artifacts was still lacking for Lin Shun. He couldn't be sure if the divine artifacts here could reach the maximum charge of the Golden Battle God set. The more it was charged, the harder it was to increase it. Even if he collected everyone's divine artifacts, there was a high probability that it would reach 100% here. Elder June's expression was complicated. Even someone as arrogant as her couldn't help but bow. Thank Lin Shin for me. This favor is too great for the Huai clan. If the clan leader was here, he would be grateful to him. Shang Wanyin helped her up and said gently, Elder, you're too polite. There's no need to thank us. At this moment, some young people from the Huai clan surrounded them excitedly. Can we join you? Sister, we also want to join you and fight the enemy. The god race has an irreconcilable enmity with us. Today's battle was too satisfying. Please let us join you. Shang Wanyin was stunned. Then, she smiled and said, Of course, we welcome you. The extermination starlight gradually dimmed. When the last extermination starlight disappeared, Lin Shin slowly opened his eyes. Congratulations, host, for completely refining the extermination star sea. Your star law has reached the advanced stage of the divine realm. Congratulations, host, for advancing to the late stage of the divine realm. Lin Shin's divine body had undergone an earth-shattering change from before. His body tempering had exceeded billions of desolate power. He had finally stepped into the divine king realm. With the enhancement of the awakening stage, it had increased by 10 times. The divine blood essence dropped by the desolate divine lion had helped Lin Chun cross this heaven-shaking chasm. Flesh Shell Awakening Stage 10. Limit 1. 5 billion desolate power. Congratulations, host, for breaking through to the 4th Dragon King realm. This time, Lin Shin welcomed an unprecedented increase. Below the Divine Master level, there were only a handful of people who could threaten him. However, his star law was still very far away from the legendary Heavenly Shell realm. That was comparable to the Heavenly Tao. Only Divine Masters could enter that realm. Although the extermination Starsea's energy was massive, cultivating the Heavenly Realm's laws not only required the same amount of energy, but also required sufficient comprehension. Lin Shin's understanding of the star law was limited to the star ocean blue. He needed to cultivate more star series cultivation techniques. Although his strength had increased, Lin Shen no longer had the joy of his youth. His figure flashed and turned into starlight. He landed in a sea of flowers in the heavenly star domain. The scenery here was beautiful. It was so tranquil that it was like a paradise. Thousands of stone tablets were erected here. On them were the names of the people who had sacrificed themselves in the heavenly star domain. Lin Shen looked here and was speechless for a long time. They had entrusted their lives to Lin Shen, who was pursuing this path. They had no regrets. When they sacrificed themselves, they fought until the last trace of their soul dissipated. They pressed forward courageously. The answer that their sacrifice exchanged for will be inherited by us. Chapter 2103. The heavenly star domain has been taken in the third realm sea, in the dark star sea region. As they gathered with a group of true gods and several god kings, the expressions of the two god lords changed. The heavenly star domain had Chun Junlin of the Chun clan overseeing it, and the extermination star sea acting as a natural barrier. Even a god lord might not be able to take it. What method had the other party used to break into the heavenly star domain? If they had such a trump card, why didn't they use it from the start? Or perhaps the two thought of an extremely terrifying possibility. Or perhaps they had grown to the point where they could break into the heavenly star domain in such a short time. The most shocking thing was that they had managed to reach the heavenly star domain in such a short time. Did they not even stop to rest after entering the divine desolate star domain? A black-robed god lord said with a gloomy expression, "I didn't expect him to be able to break into the heavenly star domain. Lin Shen, Lin Shen. This lord has truly underestimated him." The other god lord, White Brow, stroked his beard and muttered, "It seems that even if the two of us work together, we might not be able to take him down." The two god lords had extraordinary experience. When they learned that Lin Shen's group could break into the heavenly star domain, they realized that the two of them alone could not guarantee that they could take down Lin Shen. The two god masters looked at each other and thought of the same thing at the same time. Send a message back and inform the upper echelons to have the Chun clan deal with him. If necessary, perhaps we should send the upper echelons above the god emperor level. I didn't expect such a ruthless character to appear outside of the three god clans. This old man dares to say that if we don't kill him now, he will definitely stand at the same height as the 10 great god geniuses of the god world. Let's go. We should also enter the divine desolate star domain. If we can attack this child's group together with the rest of the god race, that would be for the best. The mighty group from the god realm disappeared from the dark star sea region. The battle in the heavenly star domain had alarmed the experts of many star domains. Even the experts of some distant star systems were shaken. The extermination star sea of the heavenly star domain seems to have disappeared. You've trained too much that you're talking in your sleep, right? That's not right. The energy of the extermination star domain. What's going on? Could it be that a powerful divine master has been born? The strange phenomenon in the heavenly star domain shocked many forces. Some experts sent out scouts to investigate the situation in the heavenly star domain. In the heavenly star field, the 6 illusionary doppelgangers sat cross-legged. Blood-red lightning bolts flashed and danced in the sky like a calamity. The phantom doppelgangers surrounded the blood lightning and bathed in it. It was refined and condensed into the space between his eyebrows and even his divine soul. Activating attribute transfer function, strengthening targets selected by host, speeding up assimilation of cultivation memories, God tier heaven's path points, 1,200,000, consuming God tier strengthening points, consumed 195 billion divine level cultivation technique soul essences, fusing the cultivation memories of the intermediate red class cultivation technique divine tribulation. The intermediate red class technique divine tribulation spear uses the divine power of the law of thunder to unleash the destructive tribulation thunder. When the divine tribulation thunder spear is unleashed, it will cover a large four-dimensional area. When it touches the enemy, the divine tribulation thunder will instantly destroy all the vitality of the enemy. Unless the enemy encounters a law of the same level, the attack will not be weakened. Note, divine tribulation will stimulate all the bloodline potential. The bloodline potential of the user will be imbued with the special effect of this spear technique. After the attack, the user will enter a short period of weakness, temporarily unable to use the Law of Thunder. Divine Tribulation. This was the highest grade red class battle technique that Lin Shun had ever trained. This technique was dropped from Chen Junlin, and it was the complete version. As for its power, Lin Shun had personally experienced it. He had used all his schemes and gambled with his life, but he was almost turned around by the opponent's spear. It could be seen how terrifying this spear was. If I can step into the God King realm, this spear technique will definitely surpass that of Chen Junlin. Lin Shun sat cross-legged in the sky above the continent, blood lightning bolts appearing in his palms. His thunder, fire, and star laws were already at the God realm. Furthermore, due to the uniqueness of his mental cultivation technique, they were 10 times stronger than normal God realm laws. If he could step into the God King realm, the divine power of his laws would rise to a whole new level. Lin Shun narrowed his eyes, and his divine soul faintly sank into memories. When Chen Junlin used that spear technique, he felt a kind of origin energy, a kind of pure energy that came from the origin of all things. It was like the biggest difference between the God race and the human race, especially the 3 shadows formed by his bloodline. There was even the shadow of a divine tree. The origin energy of all things was derived from the divine tree. What exactly is that divine tree? Maybe when I have enough power, I can go to the God realm to find out. Lin Shun faintly felt that the divine tree shadow was alive. Furthermore, it was very similar to the plan of providence. No, rather than calling it the plan of providence, it was more accurate to say that the plan of providence was like it. It was as if the plant of providence's origin originated from it. A wisp of divine soul gathered in the distance. Lin Shun looked in the direction of Nine World Mountain, his heart heavy. If the number of enemies in Celestial Star Zone was 10, then the number of enemies in Nine World Mountain was 100. That was a special star zone where the insect race, phoenix race, dragon race, demon race, Azura race, god race, human race, and many other gods gathered. Nine World Mountain was equivalent to the boundary between the various regions of the divine region. If he wanted to meet up with his allies on the other side in a short time, he had to break through. A team without even a divine master wanted to break through Nine World Mountain and attack the top elites of the various races of the divine region. How crazy was that? Even if Lin Shun's power had skyrocketed, he did not have absolute confidence. At this moment, Lin Shun sent out a thought. System, is the talent cooldown time applicable to the ancient primordial dragon bloodline talent? Lin Shun's Dragon King could decide the cultivation time. If the system could adapt, then his 3 talents could skip the cooldown time. Answer to the host. Yes. The host and the ancient dragon are one. As long as the host is possessed by the ancient dragon and activates the bloodline talent to open the system, it will be counted as the ancient dragon bloodline talent. In an instant, Lin Shun's expression was very interesting. With a thought, a dragon's roar resounded. Every inch of Lin Shun's flesh seemed to have transformed into the ancient dragon's bloodline. There were a few strands of golden light in the green. Suddenly, only the cultivation time in Lin Shun's body became extremely slow. It was as if he was isolated from the 4-dimensional flow of time. At that moment, Lin Shun opened the talent pane again. High orange talent, God Slayer, cool down successful. The stronger the enemy, the greater the number, the stronger the talent. It will consume talent points to activate. The higher the host's base cultivation, the more talent points will be required. Top orange talent, God Defying, cooldown successful. The stronger the enemy's divinity, the stronger the talent. It will consume talent points to activate. The higher the host's base cultivation, the more talent points will be required. Strongest orange talent, Ultimate heaven-defying, cooldown successful. Extreme destruction, extreme instant kill, consume talent points to activate. The higher the host's base cultivation, the more talent points will be required. Even someone as calm as Lin Chun could not help but clench his fists in excitement. It's back, his strongest trump card. Moreover, with the support of the ancient primordial dragon bloodline talent, it was far stronger than before. As long as he had enough talent points, in theory, he could keep activating the ultimate heaven-defying. Anyone below the almighty level could break through his defense and instantly kill him. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.